intoxicated. I was like a double agent, but I found a better way to elevate and leverage. I've been tuning to the evidence of my heart, my soul, everybody. I could tell if you really bout it. I personified the inner enemy. I outwitted the devil. Now I'm in beast mode. Oh,
Yeah.
this is my reality. I'm in beast mode. Oh, this is my reality. I'm in beast mode.
So good, bro.
How are you?
I'm good, brother. I'm really blessed and fortunate, and I'm happy to be here.
Me too, man. Me too.
Man, it's that type of record that
Gonna help me fight for my head. Welcome. If you're joining us for the first time, welcome to the Formerly Intoxicated podcast. My name is Blake Matthews. I'm here with Eric Miller. If you're joining us back again for another episode, thank you for being here. We believe that redemption is real, prevention is possible, and recovery is for everyone. SAMHSA, the Substance Use and Mental Health Services Administration, defines recovery as a process by which individuals improve their health and wellness, strive to live self-directed lives, and achieve their full potential. I love that definition because I feel like you could invite everybody and their mama in on recovery. You know, you don't have to have struggled with addiction to benefit from the holistic nature of recovery.
Well, and it's a whole movement now, too. People are starting to understand that if you want to reach your full potential, if you want to be the best at whatever it is that you're doing, if you want to elevate your brand, your business, your family, you want to really like shine, that's part of the formula. You know, like, yeah, how serious are you about it? How bad do you want it?
Yeah, it's important to consider that, you know, when you're embarking on a new journey. What am I willing to do? There's a concept that Jordan Peterson talks about. He says that if you're, I think it had to do with like cleaning your room. I think it was like something as simple as like starting with cleaning your room.
Making your bed.
Yeah, making your bed. You gotta negotiate with yourself. Like if you haven't developed those kinds of habits yet, just basic maintenance, you know, there's no shame in that. It's not about shame. It's not about condemnation. We just got to get real and honest about what it is that comes naturally, what it is that's been embedded into the foundation of our character and our conduct versus the types of things, the types of traits that we need to develop. And, yeah, you got to get real with yourself and ask, well, what am I willing to do? Because if you start setting goals and intentions that you're unwilling to follow through on, then unconsciously you start to breed this lack of trust with your own self. I found myself in a chapter in my life when I was struggling with relapse and I was just trying to get sober. I kept telling myself I wanted to be sober and I just wasn't ready. I didn't really want it. I wasn't serious about it. And as a result, I just kept going deeper and deeper and deeper because I kept slipping. I kept not following through on the intentions and goals that I was setting for myself. But, you know, when I started actually setting some smaller objectives and stacking some smaller wins, one of the guys on Jake's podcast was talking about that, stacking small wins. Yeah. I started to build some momentum and redevelop some trust with myself. So,
man, I personally, I wanted it before I wanted it enough, if that makes sense. I had one of my buddies came to my house, and he was moving. He was moving to Colorado, and he was like, "Hey, man, I just came to say goodbye. I got the U-Haul out front. I'm moving up to Colorado," and I was like, "Wait, 5 minutes. Let me pack a bag. I'm coming with you, bro. Like, I gotta get out of Arizona, or I'm gonna die here." You know, there's no way I'm going to make it out of this if I don't at least get out of the state. Like, I got to find a way to get away from meth, dude. I got to figure this out. And he was like, cool, let's go, you know. And like luckily, he was a good enough friend that he was just down. And I went with him and stayed up there for a couple months, but it wasn't enough, dude. Like, I still ended up relapsing like hard after that, you know? And so I think it's possible to like want to make a change, and it's possible to want to get sober before you want it enough to be able to get really drastic about it and to do some big things and make big changes.
What would you recommend for someone who feels like they're at that point, like they want to get sober, but they don't even know where to start or what the next step is, or they keep slipping, they keep relapsing? Like, what would your word of encouragement be to someone like that?
Well, I think there's varying degrees of that. You know, if you're just like sober curious and you're just now starting to kind of play around with the idea of like, man, this is making a mess of my life, maybe I need to make a change. I would say like this big movement of like dry January is a great thing to jump in on. Try 30 days, you know, and just see if it doesn't make a huge difference in your life, you know, and I think it's way less overwhelming to commit to something like 30 days than it is to be like, that's it, I'm done for life. But then if you're at the point where you have been trying for a minute, like you've been through some 12-step, you've been through some counseling or like some professional help, and you're still on the fence, or you've still been battling with relapse, I think it needs to be a little bit more of like a spiritual thing. Like you got to really dig deep and figure out what you really want. You know, like I think we all know where that pathway leads to. You know, you stay using, we know where it goes. It's you know, the graveyard, or it's a prison somewhere. And you know, unless you're really lying to yourself, like, you know that. You know, I knew that for a long time while I was like still deep in my active addiction. I was like, dude, I know where this leads to. I know where I'm going. But like, luckily I had some like really big rock bottom stuff to like snap me out of it. And, you know, I was really like on the prison bus riding to Florence, where I was like, dang. I knew it, you know, I knew this is where I was going to end up, and I let it happen anyway. I didn't make the change first. And then I had to like figure out how to do it there, you know. I had to figure out how to snap myself out of it and kind of flip things around. I decided to do the opposite of what I had always done, because I didn't want to go back. I knew before I ever even made it to the yard that I didn't want to go back to prison. I just tried doing the very exact opposite of everything I had ever done, until I figured out what worked.
And what was that? What's been working for you? Double digits now. I call you my old timer.
Yeah, the thing for me was like kind of wrapping my identity around recovery. I didn't really do that at first. I kind of white knuckled it for a while, and I just went to the gym and worked out. And early on in my recovery, I was like, I'm going to be a lame. You know, I'm going to be one of those people that just stays home, doesn't go out to the club, doesn't party, doesn't, you know, and any of the stuff where that led into that lifestyle. I was like, I'm going to be the biggest lame that anyone's ever seen. I'm going to like just work and go to the gym and go home. Like that was going to be my life. And I could only do that for so long, you know, like before I started getting bored and I started needing other stimulus. But really, like, the most secure I've ever felt in my sobriety came when I started being a part of the recovery community, when I started like considering myself a leader in that community, and like put it out there on my social media that I support sobriety. You know, I started making it a part of like who I really am, and like my reputation and that kind of stuff. Just so that, like, early on, just so that if people saw me pick up a drink or pick up something, they'd be like, dude, that's not who you are. You know, like, at least I thought that's what it would be. You know, I thought people would judge me if I was like leading this false life on social media, and then in the real world I wasn't upholding that. But it has evolved into, it feels like putting on armor, you know, when it's It's like who you are. It's what you're passionate about. It's where you work. It's where you like what you post about, what you share with people that you care about. I've seen some people that I really care about, like, really lose their faculties, you know, like they kind of lost short-term memory. They lost, you know, the ability to make good decisions, like permanently. They lost those things. And I decided I didn't want to end up like that, you know?
Yeah, that's a reality. It's a health risk, you know, ingesting substances and not really having any regard or consideration for the effect on the body. That's how I used for a while.
Yeah.
I wasn't even getting sober for that reason. I just, you know, I wasn't getting sober for my health. I just knew that something had to change. It wasn't really a health thing for me at that time. It wasn't even a year or two into my recovery that I even started actually taking my health seriously and realizing, wait a minute.
It's part of it.
Yeah, yeah. Nutrition and, you know, exercise. You know, exercise was kind of foreign to me. I hadn't really spent much time in a gym until I started hanging out with you.
Yeah. If you don't care what you put in your system, you don't care what you put in your body. Like, why would you care to not put a substance in there? Why would you care to not drink? You know, got to care a little bit.
Yeah, it's crazy because people in early recovery don't realize that a lot of the food that we consume triggers the dopamine and pleasure centers in the same way that amphetamines do, and some of the hallucinogens that I was using. Like, we're not wired to be so overly stimulated in the way that we were used to. Like, our baseline went through the roof. So coming back down to earth, you know, and getting our head out of the clouds, part of relapse prevention and recovery maintenance for me is learning a new normal, you know, like adjusting and realizing that serenity being my baseline is okay. Like, it's okay for me to feel like I don't have something to do. Boredom can be like a huge trigger for people in early recovery, or just, I mean, at any stage in recovery.
Yep.
But I think learning to sit with yourself and be at peace is an important step, or at least for me, it's been important, because that's where I receive some of my most profound realizations and downloads about my goals, or just spiritual insight, is like when I give myself that time and space to just sit, which is rare, but usually my calendar is like super booked. But the idea of, okay, just because I'm not chasing the high and life doesn't look loud on 10, doesn't mean that I have to go make it that. Like, learn to be okay with some sense of normalcy.
The thing that strikes me with you is, like, you're chasing your purpose now. And that's what, like, I would challenge anyone. I guess that's another piece of advice that I would throw out there is, like, find your purpose.
I like that.
If you're like passionate about it and you're on fire about your purpose, I feel like it will elevate you to pay more attention. You know, like, I don't want to do something that's going to take away from me getting to my goal, or like achieving this, you know, this mission.
And to piggyback on finding your purpose, being of service, right? You mentioned that when you started seeing yourself as a leader in the recovery community, and your perspective on it shifted to where, hold on a minute, this is bigger than me.
It was just getting outside of myself. That was the first hardest thing.
There you go.
Is because I'm still a selfish person, man. Like, I still catch myself putting me first a lot of the times when I don't need to. You know, I'm a selfish person. But when I started realizing that that was the downfall of a lot of the things that I was doing, I started throwing myself like these little pity parties, and, you know, like, oh, why is life unfair from me? Why does this person get to have the silver spoon that they were born with, and I have this to deal with, you know? But when I really started getting outside of myself and just finding ways to be of service to somebody else, volunteer somewhere, be about someone other than just me, is when it started clicking. Because if you don't ever try and help somebody else, you'll never see how similar other people's stories are to you. And you'll never see like the people that have it way worse than you. They have way more trauma or way more like circumstances that are stacked up against them that they're trying to deal with than I did. And I'm like, man, mine wasn't really that bad. I see these people out here struggling with all kinds of stuff. You know, so I think that was a big key that helped me too, is just getting outside of myself for a little bit.
I love it. Yeah. Find your purpose, get outside yourself. Oh, interesting. Looks like our monitoring went off. Let's make sure. It looks like we're still recording.
Okay, that's good. Yeah, I didn't know if that shut us down or not.
So,
but yeah, I think that was a thing, was just like, you know, finding different ways to just kind of shake things up a little bit.
right.
Be around some good people, get outside yourself.
So community, finding your purpose,
Yeah.
getting outside of yourself. Let's see.
I think being prepared for things that come up too.
Okay.
Like,
Brock calls it knowing your triggers.
so yeah, that's a huge thing. Knowing the things that could potentially set you off, but know where you're going. If you're coming up to Christmas and you know you're probably gonna be alone on Christmas, or you're probably it's not gonna be what you're used to, be prepared for that, man. Figure out ways to process, and know if you have somebody that you can reach out to if you need to. Know where you can get support. Know how you can like pull yourself out of that before you get there. Sometimes when you're already in it, it's already too late.
Yeah. You make a great point. I mean, that's the whole prevention component, right?
Yeah.
How can I proactively take steps to prevent myself from even ending up in these circumstances to begin with? And then if I do happen to walk past a bus stop and smell someone, you know, smoking fentanyl or whatever it is, you know, I've already played the tape through and anticipated, okay, if this happens, what's my next plan of action? So,
And also like preparing for the unknown a little bit too. I was working on a construction project where we were doing a bunch of houses, and one of the city inspectors was going through doing his inspection, and he walked through and went into a room and came out with a glass pipe that had meth in it and handed it to me. And he's like, hey, you might want to pay closer attention to your guys that are working on your project out here, and handed me a glass pipe that was loaded full of meth. You know what I mean? I never saw that coming. To have someone hand me like the thing that was my drug of choice for a long time, and like that was my weakness. And I was able to like have him hand it to me, be like, yeah, this is not right. And went to like my boss, and then we talked about how we were going to confront the crew and talk about it and get it out there. Like that could have been in an instant, like an impulse relapse for me, like super easy. Nobody else knew, just that inspector handed me that. And I could have just gone into my truck or whatever and like back off to the races, you know what I mean? But I had already kind of played some of the tape out of what it would be like if it fell in my lap again. And I was able to like survive that scenario and walk through the steps properly.
and you mentioned a little bit earlier, the change had happened at the level of your identity.
Yeah.
You made that decision to stand on who you are now, being a different person. So when the opportunity to relapse or engage in the old behavior showed up, who you are is just incompatible with those old kind of behaviors. Whereas if you're just trying to white knuckle it or just stubbornly get sober because you feel like you have to because of probation or this or that, like it's a lot harder to maintain long-term sobriety when you're not doing it from a deeper place of identity and true change.
I had to let go of the people around me too. Like if you still have a group of your old friends that know you as that person that was using or was the hookup or the plug or whatever. And then you have like people that are still around that know you from that era of your life or from that chapter, well, they don't know any different. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I could just go right back into using again, and that same friend group would be right there with me, probably using with me.
Mm.
You know, I had to kind of like unplug from the people that knew me as that, and to make some new friends. I had to let go. I mean, it was tough, man. Like, those were essentially my family.
Mm.
You know, there were people that I spent weeks at a time with. Like, we would stay awake for 4 or 5 days together. Like, those are my brothers, you know what I mean? But I had to let go. I had to either let go of those friendships, or let go of my willingness to stay alive. You know, because that's where I would have ended up if I kept down that road. That, you know, like, a couple of those dudes aren't still with me, or not still with anyone. Like, they overdosed, or they're just gone. You know what I mean? So, yeah, like, you just got to decide what you want. And how bad do you want it? What are you willing to let go of? You said that earlier in the episode. Like, what are you willing to let go of to be successful with this?
That's deep. Another question that comes to mind is, how free do you want to be?
Oh, yeah. Man, even though I wasn't incarcerated, I was not free ever while I was using. I mean, you know a little bit of my story. Like, I figured out that at some point meth wasn't enough. I needed adrenaline on top of that, so I started stealing cars. And when that, like, phase started, I was never free. I was looking over my shoulder constantly. I thought everyone was going to tell on me. I thought everyone was going to give me up the first time that, like, if they got arrested, they'd be like, well, that dude steals cars. Go talk to him. You know what I mean? I thought everyone was going to turn on me. I thought every car behind me was an undercover cop. That wasn't a way to live, man. I was terrified all the time.
How long did you live like that?
Probably like almost 3 years. Yeah.
It's a long time.
Yeah. It was a long, and it felt like a lifetime. You know, it felt like a way longer time than that. And it escalated so quickly. I mean, I went from just like using a little bit, like we would do lines or whatever when we went out to the club just so we could party longer. And so you wouldn't get too drunk. And then it somehow went from that to me like full on living this outlaw lifestyle of like running around with guns and stealing cars and like doing all this, what I thought was like gangster, like adrenaline stuff, you know, and like I thought it was going to be like living like I was in a movie or something. But everyone that I know that was living that lifestyle, like they're either doing major time right now or they're dead. You know, and I saw that coming for me too, you know.
Did you ever anticipate that you'd be wrapped up in that kind of stuff? No, I mean, I just always wanted to like be social and party and like have a bunch of people around me and have fun, you know, and I thought that was the key is if I had whatever drug everyone wanted, like they would want to be around me and they want to party with me. So like, that's kind of where it all started, you know, just I wanted to feel like I fit somewhere. And then it just got progressively worse and
it's
quicker and
so
quicker,
fast.
spiraled. Yeah, I hear that a lot.
Yep.
Yeah, man. There's a couple brothers that come to mind that are just kind of caught up in it even right now that I'm praying for. You know, in Change Makers, I'm praying for my brothers on the street still getting faded. And it's not quite at that point yet. You know, I don't see him stealing cars and breaking the law outside of like narcotics related stuff, but it's only a matter of time. Like, we know this thing is progressive, and when you're not in your right mind, it's crazy the types of things that people do when they're under the influence, you know. So get ahead of it, you know. If you are still using, or if you are still caught up in the cycle of addiction, ask for help. You know, it's never too late to ask for help. There's plenty of resources, plenty of support out there. It starts one day at a time, but it starts with that decision. You know, Eric said it before that you have to decide for yourself that you're ready to change. And you could make that decision right here, right now. You could make that decision right now to pick up the phone and say, I need help. I'm done, right? Crossroads, Aurora, maybe a brother, a friend, a father, if you have one. Like, there's enough support out here. If you don't have anywhere to go, just look up, an emergency behavioral health service and walk in. Doesn't matter if you don't have insurance, don't have nothing, just show up. The people in this field are so more than willing to meet you, like, in the street. Like, the people on the front lines of recovery will meet you in the pit and pull you out if you're willing to grab the rope. But nobody can do that for you. Nobody can walk that walk for you. So you got to decide. You got to decide that you're ready. And then you got to be willing to make a plan and stick to it. Because, man, you get sober one day at a time, but you got to walk that plan out and be patient and persistent. Because, it's quite a journey getting sober, and you can't. It's really hard to do it alone.
Yeah. One thing I want to share is someone told me at some point, not super early on, but like in those like middle stages of my recovery, that I was valuable, that my story was valuable, that me sharing what I went through and being able to relate to someone that's like currently using or like currently, incarcerated or just got out or whatever, like being able to relate was valuable. And I just want to share that with anyone that might be listening to this, is that your story is valuable. And whatever you've been through, if you think like your life is over and you'll never be of anything of value and like all the stuff that I was thinking early on, like, it's not true. That's not true. You're valuable. And you can relate to someone, like when you get a little bit further down the road, you'll relate to the newcomer, and you'll be the one that's there for them to like listen to your story and be like, dang, if this dude can do it, maybe I can.
That's right.
And that's how it goes. That's how it works. So don't ever lose sight of that you're valuable and you're important and people need you.
Yeah, it's a great point. I had to break up with my friends. That was real too. Switching up people, places, and things, finding your purpose, being of service, all sorts of relapse prevention strategies. But at the core, I think it starts with that identity change and choosing that we're done with it, right? Formerly intoxicated. We're going to put that chapter behind us, and it's totally possible. It's totally possible.
Yeah, you just got to know for sure that that's what you want to do. If you're kind of on the fence about it, it's not going to, you're going to struggle. Like I was kind of on the fence about it, and I wanted it. I still I knew I needed to get sober, but I wasn't all in. And that's when I had a bunch of relapses, man. That's when I went through some of the hardest times. Like I'd get a few weeks or a month or a couple months under my belt, and I didn't want it enough yet. And I would fall back in. Sometimes when I fell back in, it was way worse. I fell way deeper into the pit than where I was when I decided to quit. And I decided to quit a bunch of times before I really committed to making a change.
Yeah, that rings true for me too. I had quite a few second chances until it finally clicked.
One of the things that worked for me, I think I talked about it on one of the other episodes where how I quit smoking. You have to find something that completely grosses you out about that thing that you love. You got to change your mindset around it. So if you can find something that makes you feel ill or feel like you're almost going to throw up when you think about it, and hold on to that and correlate that same feeling with that thing, it helps a lot.
By association.
Yeah.
Reassociating the old habit with something that disgusts you.
I was in county jail, and my new cellie, that he came in that day as an older gentleman. He's probably about 65 or 70 years old. He came into the cell and he was like, "Hey, do you want a cigarette?" And I was like, "Man, I haven't had a cigarette in months." Like, yes, I want a cigarette. And he was like, "All right, watch the door." And he pulled out of his ass
Oh my goodness.
A condom full of tobacco and a lighter and rolling papers, and like basically pulled it out and put it on the table. And I just held on to that image. I never smoked again, ever again after that.
That's terrible.
I basically like walked out of.
I mean, I'm happy for you, but wow.
Yeah, it was one of the most disgusting things that I've ever seen, man. You know, and like I walked out of the cell and I was like, well, that's it. I'm never smoking another cigarette again. But there's a bunch of research around, like, if you can find that thing that makes you feel disgusted about whatever it is, you can change your perspective on it. And I didn't know at the time, but that's literally what happened to me. That's what I did, is I changed my perspective. I started associating the smell and the image and all the stuff that I was disgusted
with
by
that experience
with every time I saw a cigarette.
Wow.
And for a while I was like grossed out by other people smoking. I'm like, man, you're disgusting. You know what I mean? But like that was part of how I kind of rewired my brain around that.
It's interesting. There's a lot of people in the recovery community that do smoke or use tobacco products, and more recently I've seen a shift of some people waking up to the idea of holistic health and being a little bit more mindful about tobacco consumption. And I'm happy to see that. It's not a judgment thing, but you know where I stand on it. I think the youth are really observant of our behavior, and statistics show that, you know, kids are starting to smoke and vape, you know, earlier than they ever have. And I just think that a lot of times kids will do as you do, not as you say. So I think setting a good example of what it means to be healthy it's important to me, at least, and to each their own. But I was just talking today to a brother that I met this morning, and he was like, I'm not quite ready to let go of the vape, but he's like, when I'm ready, you're going to be my accountability buddy. And I was like, let me know, bro. You let me know. So,
yeah, you can do it, you know, like whatever it is. If it's vape or tobacco or alcohol or like whatever it is, if you feel like it's detrimental to your health and you want to stop, you can.
It's possible.
You can. Yeah.
If you're not ready to stop, that's like nails on a chalkboard.
Right.
You know, it's like, oh, I don't want to hear that, man.
Right.
Like, I'm going to turn this off right now. But if you are ready, it's like a breath of fresh air to hear someone say that. Like, man, really? Like, that can be hope needed to go one more day. You know, the itch to pick up the vape or the cigarette or whatever it is might be there on day 2, might be there on day 3. But for me, like, the obsession was lifted. You know, I no longer think about those things, the drugs I used to use, you know, the porn I used to watch.
Yeah, it all fades, you know, like the more time you get under your belt, the more it fades.
Yep.
But it is possible, you know, if you're just newly considering what it might be like to quit that thing that's causing damage to your life, just know, like, there's people that support you. You believe it or not, people will come out of the woodwork that you didn't even know were paying attention, and they'll tell you they're proud of you.
Yep.
You know, like, people will show up, and, you know, even if they can't do it for themselves, they'll still will tell you, like, hey man, that's awesome, I'm proud of you.
That's another strategy, is speaking up, right? Asking for help, which could go without saying, but it's easier said than done. Nobody knows what's happening behind closed doors if you're not willing to be seen.
Yeah.
Raise your hand.
The people that I know that, like, it works for them, and they're, like, brutally honest. You know,
Facts.
like brutally honest, especially early on. If you just like pull the wool off of everything and just put it all out there, like that's a great head start. Just be honest with yourself first, and then start being honest with the people that are around you. You know, like the more you kind of stay in the shadows and the more you hide and the more you're like sneaking stuff, the less likely you are to succeed.
And additionally, I think you mentioned this a little bit earlier, but when you stop doing, when you stop smoking or you stop drinking or you stop doing whatever the old thing that you wanted to stop doing was, you have to replace it with something else. Like, for me at least, becoming consumed with a new way of living it was a part of the equation in establishing like a foundation for me in a new way of life. You know, I couldn't just like stop drinking and taking LSD and doing all the stuff that I was doing and then just go to work and like kind of think that my life was going to like fix itself. Right. I had to really deeply engage with like a new way of living and a new way of thinking. And
think about how passionate you were or are about that thing. You know, how passionate are you about the drug that you're consuming all the time? Are you chasing that 24/7 with everything that you've got? Every dollar that you get, are you putting it into that?
Hustling.
Are you hustling and grinding and making it happen, like getting it for yourself every day? Like, you have to put that same level of energy and effort somewhere, or it's never going to work. It's never going to fit. I dug into fitness. I dug into like basically working out until I couldn't straighten my arms anymore, dude. Like I
look at this man. Look at this man, y'all.
I know it's not like the healthiest way to do it, but I had to put that energy and that effort into something.
Right.
And that was a key for me, is like, you know, I had to still keep that grind going, but in a positive way. I had to refocus that or rechannel it into something else.
So engaging in new activities, right? Recreational type of things, community, purpose, being of service, getting outside of yourself. Speaking of some of these things, we have a community-based recreation event coming up. Can you talk a little bit about that? I'll pull up the info for it.
Yeah. For the past several years, I've been lucky enough to be able to be a part of the annual Moab trip that the Phoenix puts on. It's one of the most amazing experiences that I've gotten to be a part of. Each year was progressively a little bit better, believe it or not, than the last. It's always been like life-changing for me to go out there. And one of the amazing things that Scott Strode does when he's out there, Scott Strode, for if you don't know, is the founder of the Phoenix. He leads a hike. It's been a couple different ones, but he'll lead a hike and he'll have everyone like kind of circle up and talk about the intention behind what they're going to do. And I'll have everyone grab a rock or a stone and just carry it with you for that hike, in remembrance of the ones that we lost to either overdose or we lost to the battle with addiction, you know. And to me, that was one of the most powerful things that I got to be a part of, was just like going on a hike with these amazing people in this beautiful, like magical place, and carrying that thing with me that was the person or the friend that I lost. You know what I mean? It was the memory of that person that impacted my life. That's no longer here. They lost their battle. And then at the end of that hike, we all kind of like put the rocks together and like, you know, just had a little moment of silence for those people that we lost. And I wanted to do that again. I wanted to do that with the community here. Just a walk in a really beautiful place, through nature, like around some mountains, And I'm going to encourage the people that come out to do that same thing with me that I learned from Scott. So I'm going to have everyone like carry a rock with me. It was cool in Moab where there were some people that just they found like the stone that like kind of called out to them, that would like rang some kind of bell for them. And then there was people that were literally like carrying like boulders, dude. You know what I mean? Like, man, I lost a lot of friends, and I got to carry something heavy.
It's real.
But yeah, to whatever it is to you, whatever it means to you, just to be a part of that, I'd like to invite you guys to come out and just go for a walk in nature with me. And we're going to keep it pretty light. I'm not going to get too heavy. I'm not going to go too deep into it, but we'll have a chance to remember those that we lost.
Beautiful. Yeah, thank you for sharing. And for any of you guys that do want to join us, the Dreamy Draw Hike, Walk for Remembrance, Saturday, January 10th at 8 a.m. It's on the new format, but you don't have to sign up that way.
Yeah, if you pull it up on new form, it just says special event, but it has the location and the date and time. So that special event is our it's called a hike, but it's really just like a nature walk. So really like beginner friendly, really flat, really groomed, nice trail that we're going to go on. It's the Dreamy Draw nature trail. Just a little bit over a mile, so it's chill. It's nothing crazy, but it'll give us a chance to be together in nature and to like just remember some of those folks that we lost.
That's great. Well, I'm glad that you had the inspiration to do that. And for those that don't know what New Form is, I'm finding people every day that are just now being introduced to the Phoenix and New Form, which is crazy to think about. It's a well-being and recovery community. You can download the app on the App Store. All sorts of events. The only cost of entry is 48 hours of sobriety. It's like a resource network now, kind of New Form.
New Form's amazing. I mean, you can find whatever you need on there. And honestly, like if we're talking about relapse prevention, you should probably have that app downloaded. Because if you get triggered, or you know you're going to be in a bad situation, or you know you're going to be alone and you're not super comfortable with it, man, pull up that app and find something. There's stuff virtually, there's stuff locally. It's amazing. You can find a meeting, you can find a meditation, you can find a hike, you can find like anything that you want to do that's recovery based. You'll find it on there.
Good tip. So download the New Form app, find your purpose, be of service, tap into community. Let's talk about music.
Yeah, man.
You had mentioned something a little bit earlier today about, I think it was some statistics that you had found regarding artists and artists and addiction or something.
Yeah. I'm on this path of like trying to educate myself a little bit more around music, and a lot of the artists that I love, man, that I listen to a lot of their music, are not with us anymore, and we lost them to overdose or suicide, something that was mental health related or something that came from some really deep pain. But some of the best music comes from that place, and people consume that music, like nothing else, because they relate to that pain. And I think it's a thing that like artists, if they're not prepared for that, to have their pain like pulled out of their chest and mass produced and put out there for people to consume, I don't know how you deal with that. Like it's such a personal thing to write a song and to have it be about something that hurt you or that caused you pain, and then for people to be like, oh yeah, I love that song, and they're singing along to it, and like it just gets reverberated. But yeah, I kind of went down this path of some of my favorite artists that we lost to overdose or to suicide. And that's basically the gist of where it comes from. It's either, it's most likely some kind of like childhood trauma that began it, but it's a mental health thing or a substance thing, like almost every time.
Can I share a song with you?
Yeah. Oh, please. Yeah. What do you got?
I think you've heard it. It's a song from one of my last projects. It's called "I'm Sorry for the War." Let's see.
Who's the artist?
Vampire Citizen.
Oh, I know them.
Featuring Blake Matthews. Yeah, so there's a song that I wrote about mental health. The description says, this song is dedicated to anyone who has ever struggled with mental illness. The war inside my mind is something I face every day. It's something that I'm learning to live with. It's something that those around us have come to accept. It's scary, it's lonely, it's depressing, it's mad, but it's beautiful nonetheless. It brings us together, the common yearning for light amidst the darkness. I hope this song helps you half as much as it's helped me. That was back in 2020. I hadn't even gotten sober yet. I was like trying to get sober.
You were in those early stages.
I was writing through it,
Yeah.
creating through the relapse and the pain, from that place that you're talking about.
How did that creative process help you? How did it help you kind of navigate those early times?
Creation, the process of making something or expressing myself usually helps me sort through whatever it is that's going on inside of me. That process of reflecting to discover, expressing to connect. Usually I feel more connected to myself and to others, or to the concept that I'm exploring by the end of putting pen to paper or paint on a canvas. I was painting with my hands out there the other night. Just sometimes it's just tactile. Like sometimes physically processing through experiential arts can be therapeutic in a way where it doesn't necessarily even have to mean anything. It just gets you out of your head and into your body.
Yeah.
Kind of gives you some relief from whatever it is that's going on,
Yeah, a lot of my worst stress moments are when I'm worried about the future, especially like when I was using. I was super paranoid. I was tripping about what was going to come for me in the future. So I imagine those kind of things bring you back to right now and kind of force you to be present when you're writing about something that's coming out of your heart right now, or like when you're painting, you're right there on the canvas right now, creating it in that moment. I think that's another important thing to consider, is finding things that kind of force you to be present and get you out of that headspace of like, man, I'm never going to amount to anything in the future, or I'm never going to get a good job or significant other, or whatever those things are that pop up when you're using. At least that's how it was for me. As I couldn't not focus on what was coming for me.
You've talked about that in the context of lifting weights and mountain biking and those types of things.
Two-wheel therapy is where it's at.
You have to be present. No way I'm flying off the front of them handlebars.
Yeah. It's there, and there's a million different ways to do something that will bring you into this moment right now. Those were just the things that really worked for me. Like flying down a mountain on two wheels. You don't have time to think about anything else. Putting weight over your head, you don't have time. But it can also be, it doesn't need to be like a adrenaline junkie thing either. It can just be writing down what you're feeling right now. It can just be having a conversation with somebody about what's going on with you right now. Just finding ways to get into like this moment. This is the only thing that's real, is right now. Like that stuff that you're stressing about and worrying about that you think is coming up in the future, that's not real.
Yeah, learning how to put that down as a coping skill, you know, whatever it is that's tormenting you. Just drop the weight, drop the rock, go for a walk, take a lap.
Yeah.
You know, get active and into something. Listen to a song. Find a way to put your mind at rest. Prayer, meditation. But this song, one of the quotes that really stuck out to me. Oops, there it is. Some of the most comforting words in the universe are "me too." That moment when you find out that your struggle is also someone else's struggle, that you're not alone, and that others have been down the same road. This song is called "I'm Sorry for the War." It's on 0.25 speed.
I was like, that beat is dope.
Oh, dirty. It's so funny. I'll play some of it.
It's got video.
Secrets underneath my floor.
Deadly silence in the homes of the hundreds. Heads so full of them voices that we run from. Drop the drugs, but I'm addicted to the phone. No matter where I go, it follows me. They're calling me like ring, ring. I tattooed it on the finger, marking the territory so nobody could near me. Used to finding all of that new pop punk song. We wanted was love, but you judged us. I'm sorry for the war. Psychos knocking at my door. Secrets underneath my floor. I can't hide it anymore. I'm sorry, Lord. I'm sorry, I'm a psycho. People, we come and go, and early on we put on a show for people we don't even know. Where do we go when we're feeling lonely? Yeah. X's and O's, they cross my mind, but dot in my eyes, I feel the old me. I've been depressed as of lately. My mind hates me. Oh, I can't find a way out. I went to the rehab for 90, but nobody could find me. I finally had to find myself. I'm sorry for the war. Psychos knocking at my door. Secrets underneath my floor. I can't hide it anymore. I'm sorry, Lord. I'm sorry, I'm a psycho.
I tried to, with the editing of the video, I tried to kind of make it a statement about psychology and like being in your own head, after I realized that some of the effects layering that I was doing in Premiere Pro was making it so that like the layer beneath was shining through like inside of my head. At first it was an accident, and then I realized that like you kind of see me inside of my own head and stuff like that. It's kind of a trip, but yeah.
Love it.
I'm sorry, Lord. I'm sorry, I'm a psycho. At the time, I was still identifying with the psycho, you know? I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm a psycho. Like, I would claim that. And as a result, like, it perpetuated a lot of the prominence of those things in my life. I was holding on to this person that I thought I was supposed to be, like the crazy rock star that like
would never be tamed. And I kept relapsing because I was holding on to that image of being like a psycho rock star. And eventually I shed that and kind of realized, wait a minute, who I am is way deeper than this facade and character that I've put on for the world, you know?
Our brains are amazing things, man. Like they listen to what we tell them.
Yeah,
you know, like it's everything that happens is a signal from your brain to your body. You know, every movement, growth, hormone response, it's all just a signal from your brain. And you're sending those signals to yourself when you tell yourself, I'm worthless, or I'm a drug addict, or I'm all of these things. That's my biggest thing with AA. Like, I love the steps. I love like going through that process and like really getting honest and like making amends, and all of those things are super valuable. My only issue is standing in front of a group of my peers and proclaiming that I'm an addict. You know, like, I don't want to go every week or every night and say that out loud. I personally believe that I am a changed person. You know, I've stepped into a new era, and I'm in a new chapter of this book that is my life. But that chapter where I was addicted and in active addiction, that chapter's closed. I'm not going back there. But, you know, like, some people, they need to remind themselves of that so that they don't like fall back into it. And I think I was like that in my like early and like middle stages. I needed to remind myself that I have that mentality of like, man, if I go into this, I'm going to go all in, because I have that, you know, like that addictive mentality, addictive personality. But it helped me later on when I like really just solidified that I'm not ever going back there.
Amen. I'm right there with you.
Yeah, man.
It was hard for me to come to terms with that at first.
Oh yeah, for sure.
You know, when you guys were first sharing the idea of formerly intoxicated, or like being a new creation, having a new identity, because my addiction had defined me for so long, you know.
Oh yeah. That's what we talked about, is like making it a part of your reputation, you know, making it a part of your personality, like everything, dude, like how you show up.
So what do you think? Is there anything you want to leave us with in closing on relapse prevention, recovery maintenance?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is just, I mean, we pointed out a lot of things. They're all important things, everything that we talked about. But just find connection, I think, is the number one thing. Find some people that you can be around that understand. You know, that's why I say to anyone that's in it right now, like, you're valuable, you're important, your story matters, and your story is powerful and impactful. Like, find a way to make the changes and then share your story with someone else. You know, and if you've been sober for a while, but you're kind of just doing it on your own, like, you know, recover out loud. Share it with some other people. Let them know that you're a success story and that it's possible for them too.
And if you've never struggled with drugs, maybe you're in recovery for something else, like trauma or codependency or whatever. Like, don't let that stop you from coming and hanging out with us at the Phoenix or New Form or Formerly Intoxicated. You know, we want to connect with everybody, you know. That's why we say, you know, redemption is real, prevention is possible, but recovery is for everyone. There are no exclusions or qualifying factors. Like, come get healthy, come have fun, get connected, and let's live the best life we can. Rise, recover, and live.
Amen to that.
All right, guys, we love you so much. Signing off with another episode of the Formerly Intoxicated podcast.
Peace.
was sleeping through my days. I bet top dollar that you done the same, yeah. Was sick and tired of being sick and tired. Wake up. Okay, what's up? I think it's time we make a change, yeah. Wake up, 5 in the morning, I get my faith up. I'm swinging my legs up at the back for something greater. I walk by the spirit, keep it simple like a layup. I'm praying for my brothers on the street, still getting faded. We running numbers up. This to come up, best believe before the sun is up. I'm on my knees thanking God for filling my cup. I'm overflowing abundantly, keep that scripture in front of me. Let the picture develop so you can see what it's gonna be. Got that vision inside of you.
Feel good about it?
Well, that was awkward.
What?
The song cut off.
Oh.
Bloopers. You guys are hearing a preview of the next song coming soon. Changemaker. Love you guys. Peace.